Hello and welcome along, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's race here in PSGL F4. We're back again in season 27 for round 3 here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium, and for the longest track on the entire calendar, featuring 7.004 kilometers and 19 corners. This track will hopefully provide some very good racing around some historical corners of F1. And tonight we've got a slightly changed commentary duo. It's still me. My name is Felix, and this time I am not joined by Jake, but I am joined by Jack. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Felix. I'm very happy to be back. It's not an unfamiliar lineup to PSGLs. We've obviously done Race of Champions and a couple of other divisions in the past, which is always good, but I'm very excited to be back. It's my first commentary in a while, and my first commentary with you in quite some time. So I'm very excited, especially as this is one of the best tracks on the calendar in my opinion. So I'm in a great mood.
Yeah, it's a fan's favourite around here, and yeah, it features so many historical corners. I mean, even turn 1 is very well known in the world of motorsport and Formula 1, with it being La Source, and then obviously we've got the left-hand king of Rouge, and then up Radion we go. And if I just stay on board with Max right now, if I can stay on board, yes I can, we can just follow him for a lap around this beautiful circuit. It's like a roller coaster with all the elevation changes, and then we run up Radion here where he invalidates his outlap, and then we run down the Camel Straight. And like, Jack, I bet you love the track as well, because so many people do, and I barely know anyone who says, yeah, I don't like Belgium at all.
Well, of course I love the track. Who can't love Belgium? And I know you've been here in real life to watch a couple of Grand Prix. Unfortunately, you didn't get to go this year. And my mum came here in 2008, so it's clearly a popular track as well. So, it's just beautiful. Every single corner on this track. I don't think I hate any of them. If I'm honest, it's the only one on the only tracks I thoroughly enjoy. And I've had okay success. That's it. I'm not the quickest, but obviously I have to love it. It's an absolute staple of Formula 1, and yeah, it's better than things like USA or Abu Dhabi. So.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a very big fan's favourite, and I can understand why. It's great to watch, it's great to race on, and it's just such a nice and flowing circuit. I've been here myself in 2016, 17 and 18 to watch the real life Formula 1 races. The crowd is amazing, so many Dutch fans as well, and yeah, it's just great to see. The support at the track is incredible, especially alongside the Camel Straight where I sat. Just the emotions when drivers overtake each other, when people are going for moves, it's just incredible to see, and the fans love it. And you've got enough overtaking opportunities while we are still on board with Max, who's now showing us one of them into turn 1. La Source, probably not the smartest place to overtake somebody, because he will then get the slipstream and DRS up towards the Camel Straight, and might be able to make a move back at you coming into Les Combes. But then obviously we've got turn 18, the first corner of the bus stop chicane, which is actually not called bus stop chicane anymore, but I'm not going to call it La Chicane. I refuse to do that, because that's an awful name. But that's another overtaking opportunity, and like I've mentioned, into Les Combes, you can also overtake probably the most famous overtaking opportunity on this track, as Max invalidates his first lap, and we will see how Spreen does.
Yes, invalidations, as you've seen from Max, it's not uncommon to invalidate or get penalties around this track, going out a little bit too wide, maybe in Radion or Les Combes there, if you cut the corner a little bit too much. P1 as well, who I can see Loic Panzer coming through. That's easy to invalidate if you go out wide, so the track also poses a bit of a challenge to the drivers as well to be able to get in a good lap, especially with it being so long. To be consistent around here is quite difficult, so it's also tested driver skill as well as good overtaking opportunities and good racing.
Yeah, also you need the exact precision for some of the corners, where you just have to place the car right to not invalidate but still use all of the track's width. I don't know if you've seen the onboard of the pole position lap in WEC around this track, and yeah, I don't think they know what track limits are in WEC, because that was actually horrendous. I don't think there was a single corner on the entire track where he didn't went wide. As Loic Ponce goes quickest, but nope, his teammate Jan goes even quicker than him for the moment. And yeah, Jack, I can already tell you those Red Bull guys are basically inseparable. They are so close on pace, so every single time you see one Red Bull on track, you'll probably see the other one right behind or in front as well.
I imagine they're communicating due to the VRT esports team tagging their names, but you're definitely close together, about half a tenth separating the two, so imagine at the end of quality we might see a few toes going down that Kemmel straight and maybe up through Blanchemont into the bus stop. Also, calling that the bus stop La Chicane is like Ferrari calling the Ferrari La Ferrari. That is Fred. Hello, Fred. Yeah, stupid name for a chicane. I hate it. One sec.
Yeah, that. I mean, it was fitting to the last layout of the final chicane then, because it actually was like a bus stop with a left-right-hander, then a little short straight, then a right-left chicane, and yeah, that's where it got his name off. But yeah, nowadays we still call it bus stop because it's just a lot better than La Chicane, which is just an awful name in my opinion. Also, Lyrionics currently on provisional pole ahead of Ryan, which is really close in between those guys. At the front, only 34 thousandths of a second separating them. And we've got Ghost set in the purple middle sector, so it looks like he might be able to challenge those two guys at the front for pole position for the minute, because he has definitely stepped up his game from Australia. We saw that in Silverstone where he managed to get a podium with a very, very good drive from him then. The former F5 champion of last season rounds the final two corners, turns 18 at 19, and then comes across the line to set a 141.4. And that purple middle sector didn't get him to the front row of the grid, but there's still a lot of time left in this session to improve, and I think he definitely will improve.
Yeah, there's another thing about this track, and that's in the setup. Do you want to set up the track for sectors 1 and 3, which is more the straight line speed, a higher top speed, but then through sector 2 you're at a deficit as you can't get through the turns as easy. So do you want to set up for sector 1 and 3, or just for sector 2 and gain time in the corners and lose some in the straights? So that's another thing that drivers have to think about to be able to, you know, do well on this track. Also, the potential of rain is another thing, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium is not particularly known for its brilliant summers, but we can see some rain here and there, but we could still see the sun shining. It's been quite a long time since we've had rain on this track in real life, but it's still not impossible. I remember in 2018 we've had a wet qualifying and an entirely wet Friday then, when we were when I was actually there only on Sunday, and I was quite lucky to only be there on Sunday. But yeah, in 2018 the Friday was filled with wet weather, so was the Saturday, and the race day then, typical for Formula 1, not rainy at all, complete sunshine, maybe a bit overcast here and there, but not a single raindrop has fallen on track that day. But yeah, we could see some rain here in the race, we shouldn't forget that. And yeah, what you've mentioned with the setup, that's actually a really good point. Obviously, like a few decades back, drivers had the possibility to have two different setups for the race and the qualifying session, and I think then for quali you would have rather had a setup suiting or fitting to the second sector, which is a lot more twisty, filled with quick corners where you need the downforce, and then on race day you might want to put a bit less downforce for sectors 1 and 3 to actually be able to overtake other people on the straights. But nowadays you have to find a balance in between those two. So in quali you definitely want to be quick, but in the race you don't want to be a sitting duck on the straights either. So you need to find the right balance in between that, as Klusig has not found the right balance in between speed and not invalidating, as he went just a little bit too wide through Slavlo 1 there and invalidated his lap time.
Yeah, because this just also did the same thing on the exit of Lacombe, so invalidations are high right now, except everybody but about 4 drivers to actually set laps. So people can get a lap in, but there's been a lot of invalidations that I've seen so far. But the setups, if you can do a setup, that's brilliant. If you can't do a setup as much, especially for this track, that's not great. But for me personally, I would prefer to have a bit more speed in sector 2. that's not very good because on the straights I just kind of get absolutely sauced as everyone goes past me with their DRS, especially on the Kemmel straight. So I think it's mostly a lot of driver preference, but you also have to think about what's quickest in the races. Obviously the race is what matters the most, and if you don't do well in the race then you get no points, and that's tragic. So
That is true. I mean, we're not in F2. In F2, you'd at least get 4 points for pole position, but in Formula 1, pole position gives you a nice thing for your statistics. And yeah, that's it basically. You won't get any points and might drop down in the race entirely. And it seems like many drivers are struggling with the track limits right now. We've seen many in validation, and especially Kazizel should try and get a lap time in, especially around this long track. It takes ages to come back into the pits. And if you invalidate both of your first two runs, then that is not a good thing. But yeah, Jack, if you have a good setup for Sector 2, if you've just got a little bit more downforce, as we see Klusik in the wall after Puhon, do you think you could maybe make a move into the right-left chicane after Puhon? Do you think that could be an opportunity?
yeah, I think it really depends on your positioning of the car and the positioning of the other driver. There's a lot of corners on this track where I reckon you can go for an overtake. Pretty much every corner I reckon you could go for an overtake. It just depends if the other driver gives you room. Will you hit them? Will you spin? Will your race end in tears? Yes or no? You have to kind of weigh up all of those things in your head to be able to go for a move. I think as Max goes third fastest was a solid time, I'd call that. But yeah, I think you need to weigh up your options properly for this track to be able to, you know, make a calculated move. Because if you just absolutely send up somebody's inside into a stupid corner like Puhon, then you will die a horrible, painful death. So you kind of have to think about it.
Yeah, I saw that many people invalidated, so did Krypton. Kryptonite, though, he did set his lap time, which was invalid, but he came across the line, and in the end he was 4 tenths quicker than the current pole time. Never mind, because Luke has just gone on to pole position then, ahead of Kazizel, who goes second, just over a tenth behind. So yeah, the track is really getting faster at the minute, and it's crucial to be able to set another lap time then in the end. We've got 6 minutes left on the clock. That's not that much time, and I can see many drivers have invalidated. Let's see where Super Mario goes. He improves, but doesn't improve enough to get himself into a top 10 starting position. He is 11th, which is not too bad, but we'll have to keep in mind that strategy won't be that big of a thing in the race, I think, because it's really an easy soft medium strategy.
Yeah, I think I was going to say something. Hang on, give me a moment. Yeah, if you invalidate your final lap around this track, then that can cost you a lot, because it's so big. Like you're saying, it's a 1 minute 40-ish lap, which is a long time in F1, considering the shortest track is about 40 seconds quicker than that, and that's quite a lot of time. So going back around the track and going into the pits and going out again takes you a long time, really. So you have to get your runs right, especially at the start of the session, so you just at least have a time. Because if you can't get a time in, like Klusik is the only one who hasn't done that just yet. If he can't get a time in, he's starting at the back, and that's not good. It's easy to overtake around this track, relatively, if you get into the right position, but sometimes it's just impossible to overtake if you get stuck in dirty air through sector 2 and you can't get close enough coming into the bus stop. Or if you're not quite close enough for enough of a tow, haven't got enough straight line speed and down the Kemmel straight, then you might not be able to make an overtake. So qualifying position, I think, is also very important for this track to set you up for a good race.
Yeah, I think though actually P1 to get pole position here is not the best thing to do, because we've saw in recent years that P2 or maybe even P3 actually have a better chance of going into the Lake Holmes chicane in the lead, because you just get that slipstream up the Kemmel straight, and that is really powerful on this track. So P2 and P3 might have a better shot at leading after the first lap than pole position, actually, as Gabri comes across the line. That's not going to be pole, that is only going to be 12th for the moment, and yeah, he's probably not going to be all too happy with that one. but we could still see some reverse strategies, starting mediums, finishing off on softs then, as we've got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left in this session.
Yeah, a few people going out for laps now. I think maybe just to be safe, I'm not too sure. See if they can get another lap in case they invalidate, but as you said, easy soft medium, but if we see a Mika Hakkinen-esque overtake up into Lacombe, I will lose my mind. Because if we see that with P2 and 3 has gone past P1, that'll be my favourite thing in the world. I tell you now, if we see that, I'm gone. I'm having a great time.
That would be absolutely brilliant. I'm gonna scream at the top of my lungs then, but it's still a bit away from that now, as we've got 3 minutes left in quali, and yeah, many drivers are going out now. Probably, like you've mentioned, to be safe. You could do 2 runs on the same set, I reckon, but your softs really won't feel all too great after your first stint then. Or I should rather say at the end of your first stint, and the mediums will probably be stretched quite a lot then in your second stint, but we can see Klusi coming into the bus stop chicane now. Turns 18 at 90, locks up the inside front for good measure, and then around the final corner he comes, tricky on the traction with all those bumps in there. Doesn't take the shortest run, but still goes 6th for now, and that's his first time of the entire session, and that is a pretty good time considering that was his first.
Yeah, I think just to get time in general is a good thing, and to be 3/10 off pole on your first validated run, always good to have. I don't think he'll be able to get another one in though, because he's a little bit of a way off and his tyres probably aren't the happiest right now, especially after one lap. Your tyres are probably about 5-6% worn, I'd say, except that's me and I'm not very good, so it could be anything for these drivers who are much better than I am. But I think if you do 2 laps in quali on the same set of tyres, then that's going to be just disgusting, at least to me really, because you take off another lap in your stint and that's just going to make your tyres worse when you begin the race and when you finish the race, and it's not really what you want. So 1 lap, always viable.
Yeah, what Cohen really wants is to keep that pole position, as he went quicker than his teammate, only by 26 thousandths of a second. But Ryan has already shown what he wants to do in this quali session. Oh, that was close to an invalidation, but a very good run through Puhorn it looked like. And I think he set a purple first sector then, so he might be able to challenge both Alfa Romeos, who are locking up the front row right now. And that will be a great result for them, especially for the Constructors' Championship. But there goes Ryan purple again, and if he can continue that good run throughout the entirety of the lap, through the entirety of the 3rd sector now, as he comes to Blanchimont, he might be able to take pole position away here from one of the Alpha drivers. At the moment it would be Cohn, but we still got Luke on his lap, so Luke is still someone we should look out for. Again, an inside lock up into the last corner. Klusik retires from the session as Ryan comes across the line. Is it going to be pole? For the minute it is, only by 0.5 of a second, and that is going to be very, very interesting. Now, what can the others do? Kazizl has invalidated. Lyrionics still on a lap. Luke still on a lap. Luke is slightly improving. At the moment it wouldn't be enough, but if he can just gain that little bit of time in the last sector now, he might be able to take pole position away from Ryan and put that Alfa Romeo on the front row of the grid. At the minute he is in 3rd place, locks up the inside front as well. It looks like everyone does, or it might just be a glitch, but here he comes around the final corner. Can he get the traction down quick enough? Yes, he can. By 0.002 of a second he takes pole away from the Mercedes of Ryan. That was a brilliant lap, and that was oh so close. We still got Vapor Nuth out on a lap, so he might be able to challenge. We still got Lyrionics out on a lap. Let's see what he is setting at the middle sector. He's setting a very good lap time at the moment, nearly 0.2 quicker. Might he be able to challenge for pole?
I think it could be possible. Being in 5th, he's not too far away right now. He's only about 1/10 away, so Vapor, he has a chance as long as he can string his lap together nicely. We'll see soon how much he's up on his time, but Luke going only 3 thousandths quicker than Ryan, which is such a minuscule amount of time. That's nothing even in racing standards. As I think that was Lyrionics going 3rd fastest, not far behind them either, except Vapor Nuth was still waiting to see what he could say. Got Max down at the bottom, Sabrina and Ghost, Super Mario I think all still setting a lap time, but I think Vapor's the one we want to look out for now as he's about to come into the bus stop for the run to the line.
Oh, look at the gap in between P1 and P4. That's brilliant to see. And it might get even closer in between P1 and P5 then, as Vapor Nuth comes across the line. Will he take pole? No, he won't. But he only just beats the Renault of Lyrionics by 0.002 of a second as well. That is brilliant to see. Spreen still out on a lap, it looks like. So Spreen will be the last driver to actually set a lap time. But no, he won't. He dives into the pit lane. And what a quali session that was. Just look at the gap in between the top 5. 53,000ths of a second in between P1 and P5. That is brilliant to see. And 2,000ths in between the front row and 2,000ths in between both cars in the second row of the grid. And that is just incredible.
Honestly, I think that's the closest qualifying I've ever seen. Also, if you take into consideration, this is Belgium. The longest, the biggest track on the entire calendar. And they're only half a tenth away from each other. Only 53,000 separating the top 5. That is insane. So that is the smallest details on your lap. If you make one extra good thing over the next driver to get that pole time over your fellow Dutchman by 3,000, that's... I can't even think of anything that would gain you that much time. Like a millimetre. Like a bit to the right into a corner.
Just
something like that.
Just in general, like, look at the gap in between P1 and P10. That's just a bit more than 0.2 of a second, and that is just brilliant to see. And the gap in between first and last is just a bit more than 6.5 tenths around the longest track of the entire calendar. 7 kilometers, and in the end, it comes down to 0.003 of a second. That is incredible, and in case you were wondering, Jack, for me, the timing said it was 2,000ths in between those drivers, so that's why I kept saying 2,000ths in between pole and second, but yeah, now it said that it was 3,000 suddenly, so yeah, nice timing there, but it doesn't matter all too much, but actually it does matter in such differences in between those times. And wow, if the race is going to be similarly close as quali is, just a tiny little bit, then we have a hell of a race upon our hands here in Belgium. We've got 22 laps, and I think those are going to be 22 very close and exciting laps. And also, I think you can play a very tactical game around this track. If you can stay within the DRS and just get that slipstream, get that DRS on the straights to stay with them and save your ERS, you might be able to just go for an easy overtake on the last couple of laps. But we'll have to wait and see if the drivers will go full out or play the tactical game.
I think conserving your ERS at the start of this race is going to be the best option, because you can't win the race on the first lap or in the first 11 laps or the first 20 laps. It comes down to the final lap. So I think for the final few laps you want to save your ERS until then to be able to try and make a move on somebody in front. But it also kind of depends on the gaps and the spacing between the drivers, because if somebody in front of you has still has DRS in the car in front of them, it becomes a little bit more hard to try and overtake them again. With you both having DRS, it comes just a little bit harder as they have a tow, you have a tow, and it just kind of equals out and hits a wall. You can't quite get past them. So, but if somebody in front of you doesn't have that extra tow, then you can just fly past them at, I think, something like 30 kilometers an hour quicker in a straight line with DRS activated plus overtake, something like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a huge difference in between a car that has got no slipstream, no DRS, and a car that has got those two things just sitting right behind you. And we've only got 3 people who are trying the opposite strategy, which would be Loic Panzer, then Spreen and Gabri. And all the others, like Klusik, Super Mario and Max, have gone with the softs, so with the actual usual strategy you should have around here, soft to medium in the end. But yeah, interesting to see that it's splitted 50-50 in between those guys outside the top 10, and it's going to be interesting how the medium runners will go throughout this race. Obviously, if they get front wing damage, they can still pit onto the hards and actually go to the end, because that is definitely possible. But your tires will be, or your pace won't be great, especially towards the end of the race. But I think we've got quite a hell of a race up on our hands, especially considering Cohn set his lap about 2 minutes earlier than the other runners.
That's very true. Also, the medium soft, the soft medium strategy have got their advantages and disadvantages. Softer tyres will be quicker at the start and you'll be able to keep up with the pack. Mediums you might drop off a bit, and if you get wing damage, like you said, issues will happen. But if you have mediums softs, then you'll have softs at the end. When everybody else is on the mediums, you'll be quicker at that time. But like you said, Colvin's taking his time 2 minutes before everybody else. That could be the difference of a tenth. Of course, he was less than that away. So as they line up for the grid, I think if all goes like qualifying, we're in for something else, and I can tell you that.
Yeah, it will be great to see as the final couple of cars are about to line up on the grid slot, as they have done now. So the cars will line up properly now as it reloads for those guys, and the lights are about to come on as we're up to 5 red lights. And we are off in Spa for the third round of the season. It seems to be a solid start from Luke. Can he keep the cars behind going into turn 1? There goes Ryan around the outside, but no, he backs out for now. But he will have a good run now coming down towards Arouge and Radion. But it seems like Lyrionics could not hold on to his position. Yes, he could actually, as he was side by side with Vapor Nuth, who is under pressure from Cohen. Ella goes right behind, but let's take a look at the front. Can we see an overtake for the lead? As there is Ryan right behind Luke, but look at that. He probably doesn't even want to go past right now, but he closes up. He stays out of overtake for now, and he stays in second place. Oh, that was close. A bit of a concertina effect there coming into Les Combes, but it seems to be all quite clean throughout the entirety of the start, and Kryptonite has dropped down by 3 positions.
It's all going on in the back right now in the midfield. Everybody fighting for position is Lloyd Panzer, who's had a brilliant start. He's currently on the inside of the Ferrari Klosik, and he's almost losing the rear, almost going into the wall. That is a place where you can get wing damage if you make too much of a mistake. But everything's going on in the midfield. Everybody's trying to get a couple of extra positions.
Oh, that is clumsy with Spreen. He tried to dive it down the inside into Pouon. That's a weird place to try a dive. But yeah, horrible start for Kryptonite. Loic Panzer moved up by 1 spot, and Kazizel also lost 2 spots, and also Boss Wanted with a brilliant start. Up to 7th he goes, and there is someone dropping down. I don't know who that is. That seems to be Loic Panzer as he's being pushed off. Oh, look at that kerfuffle going on there as those guys are running up to Blanchimont, and it looks to be very chaotic. And there is the crash. Oh my goodness.
He just flipped. I just saw the Ferrari flip over because this one Klosik out of this race is Kryptonite. He has the penalty, and also he got wing damage at some point during that. As you can see him pulling into the pits now. I imagine going for either a medium soft still or soft medium or hard. It could be anything at this point, but he got wing damage, and that closed up that whole pack, bunching up into that little thing we saw. And then I think contact was just made as through Blanchimont. It's hard to go side by side, and then Klosik and Kazizel, they went flying off, smashed into the wall. And I think I thought I saw the Williams of Pam going into the wall as well, but that's a huge accident. I think quite unlucky, but with green flags again, I think we could see more racing as they're all running up into Les Combes now.
Yeah, that was very scary. I just saw the Ferrari literally flying into the camera perspective there. That was very, very scary, but it seems like Lyrionics is putting Ryan under quite a lot of pressure right now. The game still says that Kryptonite gained 8 spots off the start, and then took the lead, but no, he is only pitted probably because he has not crossed the first sector timing then, and it looks like Luke is able to build a bit of a gap to second. Speaking of that, he has just gone wide through Pouon, probably picked up his first warning of the race then, and it looks like the gap between him and Ryan is definitely not correct. That is not a tenth in between those guys. That's a bit more than that, but it looked very clean at the start, but then suddenly it all went off in the last sector.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what happened there. I think it was just Blanchimont playing its games where you just cannot be side by side. Normally, as a little bit of contact will send you into the wall, and send it into the wall. For them, it did, and I'm surprised it wasn't a safety car really, but that's okay. It's still close, still fighting going on, and I'm seeing a lot of lockups. So that's another thing around this track. If there were flat spots in this game, people will be finished, as people lock up all the time. around this track. So, you know, it is what it is, but it's an F1 game, so it's okay. As I'm still seeing more fighting with the Mercedes and Golf's almost gone past the Alpha of Cohen. So everything's going on in this race right now still. And there's now a second gap between 7th and 6th. So
yeah, we've got DRS enabled on this lap, obviously. Let's see if we can have some first couple of moves in this race, as Jan is trying to get past Boss Wanted round the outside. He goes on the Camel Straight, and that looked like a rather easy move for the Red Bull driver. And it seems like, yeah, Boss Wanted didn't really want to fight there, and in the end he lost out to the Red Bull, and now he's down into 8th, but that's still a solid position considering he started in 10th. And yeah, some of those guys out who started outside the top 10 have had some brilliant starts.
yeah, I think everybody in the mediums right now is stacking down at the bottom there, but that's okay. Kryptonite obviously being caught up in that instant, getting a little bit of wing damage, but Luke coming off pole, still sitting in that first position, so he's doing alright. Ryan sitting in behind him. I imagine everybody right now is just conserving the ERS. As you can see, Ryan, he's on 100%. Everyone's kind of above 60% right now, mostly above 70 in the top 6. Below that, about above 50%. So I think the drivers right now at this stage just saving the ERS, waiting a little bit longer to go for the end. You'd much rather make your overtakes in the final 3-4 laps than other than now, because yeah, you know why. Slipstream, whatever.
Yeah, Slipstream is just very powerful, and it gives you the opportunity to just save some ERS, you know, not really blasting it out there. And I feel a bit sorry for Luke right now, as he sits at the front without any Slipstream, without any DRS, just to sit and duck on the straights, to be honest. But Ryan is not really willing to pass him right now. I think he feels quite comfortable in there. He's got the DRS to keep him safe from the Renault behind of Lyrionics. And Super Mario's also went past Boss Wanted only just now, so Boss Wanted seems to be struggling a little bit. And there goes Max Rowe down the inside into Lecom, and yeah, he just ran him out of road a little bit, but I think he had the move done already as the contact was made. So yeah, that's 2 positions lost within one straight and the corner, to be honest. And yeah, that's 3 positions lost within 2 laps now.
Yeah, I think that's another thing about this track. If you get overtaken once, you get overtaken again and again. So it's just kind of a chain reaction. Once you get overtaken, you keep getting overtaken, but you know, it's just kind of the nature of the track. But you still got an opportunity to overtake again. But still, everybody inside the top 7, all separated by a second. Super Mario not too far off of bridging that gap. So everybody in top 13 right now, other than Kryptonite, unfortunately, all together. And it seems like it's staying that way right now.
Yeah, it really surprises me that Kryptonite has decided to pit onto the medium tyres, if I'm honest, because like I would go for hards and just try and take the tyres to the end of the race, if I'm honest, if I get front wing damage on that one. And yeah, I'm not really sure if that was the smartest thing to do from him, but he probably did that in the heat of the moment, and yeah, didn't really think about strategic advantages or disadvantages or opportunities for him in that situation. But it looks like Ryan definitely isn't willing to get past Luke at the minute. We haven't got any penalties so far, which is actually surprising me because of the amount of invalidations we've had in quali.
Yeah, I mean, oh, hang on, Max is overtaking Super Mario now and down the straight. There you go, just breezes past as easy as you like. But yeah, no penalties so far, which is understandable, kind of. 5 laps in, there's a couple warnings. I've seen a couple of people go wide. It's just depending on how many more times they go wide during the course of this race. So right now, everybody keeping it clean. If it stayed like this, I'd be the happiest man in the world, because then it's all fighting for track position. No tactics. Oh, they got a penalty in front of me, I don't need to bother. It's all for track position right now, and that is the best sort of racing, when it's not penalties affecting the result.
That is absolutely true. It seems like everyone is keeping that in mind, that not getting a penalty could give them a big advantage towards the end of the race. But it's brilliant to see that everyone inside the top 10, actually everyone inside the top 12, and now top 13, is within a second of the car head. So it's just a big DRS train. If you look at the mini-map, that's just great to see, and we're already 5 laps in.
I know, I mean, at this point I was expecting a bit bigger gaps to happen, more than 1.3, which is the biggest other than Kryptonite, but, you know, well, hang on a second, Coleman's going into the pits now, is he?
Ooh.
He almost lost his rear going into the pits, but he is the first one to fire his gun. He's gone in first as Max sets a fastest lap. It is early. Lap 6. Or lap 5, sorry, he's pitting at the end of lap 5.
He surely can't make the mediums work, can he? He pits onto mediums, though. Interesting. I mean, okay, so his tyres will definitely die out towards the end. I wonder if that is going to cause a chain reaction now for the front runners, that everyone reacts to this pit stop and pits as well, or if they will just, you know, keep on doing what they're doing, knowing that his tyres will die out towards the end, and maybe Cohen is actually trying to trigger a chain reaction here, as Boss Wanted has been overtaken once again. Seems like a familiar picture now within the last couple of laps, and there's the first penalty from Max Rowe. He has been pushing quite a lot after setting the fastest lap on the previous lap. 1 lap later, he's got his first penalty.
Yeah, I mean, it was coming at some point, so Max Rowe gets the first penalty, but I imagine more will come, so that hopefully shouldn't hurt him too much. But Cohen pitting, maybe it's something to try and help his teammate a little bit later in the race, get an undercut on him, go faster now, get out in front of him, give him a tow, and let him through a little bit later and just hold up the people behind. I think that could be an option, but if he can gain a second or two now, then he'll be out in front of his Alpha teammate. And it really depends on what we're going to see on how the other people are going to react, as we can see Luronix, Vapor and Luke all using quite a lot of their ERS, but Ryan is sitting happily on about 90% ERS, so Ryan at this point, I think he's in the best position. The other Alpha decides to pit, so
Vapor as well. Okay, so those two guys react to the pit stop, so does Super Mario. Actually, Boss Wanted as well. I can understand it from Boss Wanted's point of view, because he has been dropping down quite a lot in the most recent couple of laps, but everyone pits onto mediums, so I'm not sure if the mediums will actually make it till the end. They will definitely be quite dead, so you won't have any pace left. As can Cohen get past Vapornuth now? Has he made the undercut work? Yes, he has. And that's the difference of fresh tyres for you. Within 1 lap, he gained enough time to then pass Vapornuth, but he might lose out again, as Vapornuth now has got the DRS coming up towards the Camel Straight as they are going side by side. Oh, that's a big squeeze from Cohen as he tried to squeeze him onto the grass. He left a car's width of space on the inside. That's what he needed to give him, and that's all he gave him in the end, but it still wasn't enough to keep him behind. And that's a good move from Vapornuth there, and he's back into P10. So the undercut has not quite worked out for Luke.
It hasn't quite worked out for him, no, but Vapornuth, he has to close up about 6/10 to Luke to be able to get into his DRS range and use that slipstream to keep Cohen at bay. Otherwise, I think we'll just keep seeing these two leapfrogging each other backwards and forwards, depending on how Cohen decides to play this in Vapornuth's pace. So it's still something to play for, but we also have to see those from 5 people pull into the pits and go onto the mediums themselves.
Oh, look at Max, look at Max. Max is so close to the rear end of Loic then, as he's going for the outside into the bus stop chicane. He's used quite a lot of his ERS. He leaves a car's width of space on the inside and then pits. That's not the smartest thing to do, if I'm honest. I remember certain Pastor Maldonado doing that in 2013, I think, and that resulted in taking out multiple drivers then, as many people are in the pits now. One of them is Ryan, who has used a bit of his ERS throughout the entirety of that lap. I don't know if he had been held up, but let's see where Luke comes out in comparison to Ryan. Then he should be ahead. Yes, he is ahead, but let's see where Vapornuth is then. He is right behind him. So Ryan has lost a bit of time, and he has lost the DRS to Luke, so that might be the chance for Vapornuth now to pick up net P2 on this Camel Straight here. He opens his DRS, does not use his overtake button though, so he's sitting comfortably behind. And what happened there?
Has just gone off the track somehow. I have no idea how, but it was kind of down midway down the Camel Straight. He was just on the grass. Has he?
Yeah.
Did he go off in radio or something, hit the back of somebody? I have no idea. Missed that.
I think that might have been with Cohen. I think that might have been with Cohen.
I think it might have been as well. I saw them close.
Contact. Yeah. They were close as Larionics came out the pits then. And I'm afraid there was some contact in between those guys as Super Mario picks up a penalty then. And so does Buzz Wanted actually, in the same corner.
There you go.
But yeah, just unfortunate. Larionics only just pitted. And now he's going to drop to the last place on the grid right now on lap 8 of this race. And yeah, that's just very sad to see. I'm sad I didn't catch that because I would have loved to know what happened there. But yeah, that's going to be a mystery that will be solved probably after the race.
Yeah, it goes to the last person to pit off the softs now, so he's gone for an overcut. And we're just going to see how his mediums go for the end of the races. He'll be on slightly fresher mediums compared to somebody like Cohen, who pit very early, than people who pit a lap after him and a lap after him. So he's taken off softs 9 laps this goes, so he's going to come up behind quite a few people, but depending on his pace and the fresher tyres, we're going to have to see how he does. And also, I think from now on there's going to be penalty limitations. We've seen 3 drivers pick up penalties, and it's not quite halfway through the race, so penalties still going to be a factor in this race. As Max, he's getting very close to the back.
He thought about it. I saw that. He had it in mind. But then he thought better of it. But he's now going to have the gut run along the Camel Straight as they are going side by side now, coming into Les Combes. And I think Ghost really doesn't want to give up that spot. He gets the room given on the inside, but that's still not enough to keep the spot. Good move by Max there as he went around the outside. Oh, and Ghost with his cold tyres loses the rear end out of Les Combes then. And into Bruxelles, he has managed to save the car properly. And now he needs to try and get into the rhythm. And yeah, it's just interesting to see now what's going to happen, because I think Ghosts will be the quickest driver on track at the end of the race, because his tyres just are the freshest out of everyone else. And I'm not even sure if some of those guys' tyres will even last at the end.
I mean, yeah, like Cohen, who pit first. Let's just see how his tyres manage, because one lap can be the difference between a puncture and no puncture. As you can get a puncture on the last lap, as we saw Silverstone in real life.
Oh yeah.
Or even before, so it really depends. But that move that Max almost tried through El Rouge and Radon, he saw a Mark Webber moment there. Do you remember Mark Webber's overtake on Alonso through there? Very famous.
I really do.
He saw that, I was like, yes, I want that. I can't do it. And backed out to it quite smartly, I imagine.
Yeah, and quick side note that Ryan has closed up to Luke again. And Luke hasn't got that much ERS. He's got a lot less than Ryan, and I don't think Ryan will use too much ERS from now on, as he's in the slipstream. He's got the DRS on the straight, so he's going to have a great time just sitting behind him and saving up all his battery and then going for a move towards the end of the race.
Yeah, I think he's still playing his strategic game almost halfway through now, and he's got a little bit more ERS than Luke does, but Luke's going to have to use that to try and defend his position, especially at the end of this race, because Ryan, he's back in the strong position he was at before the pit stops happened. He's back here now, and I think if he saves, especially with his one lap fresher tyres, that's going to help him a little bit. As long as he saves now and then at the end of the race, I think he'll make his move and we'll have a fight for the potential race winners, as long as it all stays the same.
Currently Gabri is not too far away from Spreen. He's got not too much ERS left, so I reckon he didn't save too much within the last couple of laps, and he is still using it as Cohn picks up a penalty. And yeah, that's not going to be good for his race then. Ghost hasn't passed Max again for what is going to be P8 at the minute, but yeah, we still got those 3 guys up ahead. I yet to pit, but we could still see a safety car, which could be very well timed for those guys up front. If the safety car comes out within the next 2 to 3 laps, they might be able to then make the pit stop onto softs without losing too much time, and then they'll be the favourites for the race win suddenly.
Yeah, I think if there is a safety car coming out around their time to pit, because the safety car stays out for 3 laps, that'll bring us 3 laps closer to the end. This being a long track as well, that would take forever. We got plenty to talk about as it's starting to get a little bit cloudy.
Yeah,
now.
I was just about to mention.
I just noticed that, yeah.
As I was on board with Gavri along the Camel Straight, and then I thought, It's a bit overcast right now, so might we actually see some rain, but I'm not too sure. I think strategies would have differed from what we've got right now if there would be some rain, which is planned. If one of the drivers in the chat could actually tell us if there's going to be rain or not, but I don't think there is, because otherwise I think the ones outside the top 10 would have started on maybe hards.
Yeah, that's true, as Boss wanted to get said. That's the yellow flag.
Yeah, that's Renault.
Lyrionics again. Oh, I just realised
there's the safety car.
There's the safety car. I'm talking about it.
And that is brilliant for those guys in the top 3. They can fit the softs and they will make it to the end, I think. I think the softs should be able to do around 10 laps. And obviously under the safety car, you won't get too much tyre wear. So that is brilliant for those 3 guys. Oh no, has he?
Yeah, you got to drive through for speeding apparently onto the safety car.
Well, I don't think that's a glitch actually. If he would have gotten a drive-through for overtaken or something, I could imagine that being a glitch.
Gabriel's just stayed out.
Wait, what?
Okay, that's kind of thrown off my brain there. So I imagine pretty much everyone's going to decide to pit for the softs, I imagine. Nope, never mind, nobody's deciding to pit for the softs. Other than, who's that, Loic Panzer and Spreen, who started on the mediums, but Gabriel decides not to, despite that being a stronger thing for him. But then you have Luke, Ryan, Vapornuth, Cohen all not pitting. I think they're favouring track position because they don't think that people who go into the softs now are going to be able to overtake them, I imagine, is what they might be thinking.
Yeah, but the soft should give you a big enough advantage to actually pass other cars on mediums, but interesting, okay, so we've got a very special kind of situation right here. Like, I would have expected a lot more people to pit, and I have absolutely no idea at all what is going on inside Gabri's mind right now. I don't know if he just forgot that he has to pit yet, or if he just thought, no, I've got something special in the back of my hat, but surely that strategy isn't going to work.
I mean, maybe he just wants to be at the front of the grid and just say that he's led in a full race, maybe, I don't know. I was expecting pretty much everyone to just kind of flow into the pits and go, okay, softs now. So, Loic Panzer, he could be doing something. Spree and Boss wanted, depending on their pace, just fly past a bunch of people, but I don't know, Gabri, that's broken my mind. Not a clue. Don't know. Yeah.
I'm just confused.
It is what it is. Words cannot describe what might be happening. Maybe he knows something we don't. I don't know. He knows what he's doing.
Maybe there's actually some rain on its way. I mean, I'm not sure, but maybe that would maybe explain why he's going onto mediums. But why he's staying on mediums. Sorry, but yeah, I'm just not sure. I mean, it looks overcast, but
I know it does look like it could rain. I imagine we'll just see a drop flick into somebody's screen, and then we'll start to lose it.
I take everything back I said about Gabri, because you know that will be the only possibility I've got inside my head, that there's actually rain on its way, and he's thinking that alright, then everything out the window, and why on earth have you not pitted on the previous lap?
I think he might have just forgotten and just gone, oh cool, they're pitting, race lead. Oh no. And now he's realised he has to pit. This is such a long lap as well. He's been on the safety car for over 2 minutes, everyone's caught up. And now he's right at the back, I think that's Max also following.
Yeah, Max has got to drive through afterwards, so he decides to give up the track position because he's going to lose it anyway. And then just, you know...
Unfortunate for Max. He needs another safety car to be able to get back in this race, I think, so...
Well, what Gabri did just completely ruined my hope for some rain.
I know. I was like, it's going to be rain, brilliant, unbelievable scenes. I mean, I don't always like a full wet race in F1 games because they're always boring to me. But when it's a transition race, that brings strategy into it, and if somebody times it right, that is brilliant. And I know yesterday I bottled myself a relative chance at top 5 in another league because it's a transition race. I pit perfectly, but I spooned myself into the pit lane of USA. and ruined my entire chance. I still got points, but I ruined the top 5.
Yeah, well,
So,
thing is, actually, I think Rain would spice up things a lot more and would actually provide more overtaking, because until the safety car came out, there weren't many overtakes, to be fair, because many people just stayed behind to save some ERS and get the slipstream, not risk anything, and to be safe from an overtake from the car behind, so no one really went for it. And I think if the Rain would come out, then all those, strategic games would be thrown out the window.
yeah, I think most of Belgium League races are just kind of wait until the end, then make your move. But everybody was relatively close anyway, so we could have seen a big fight, but this brings everyone even closer. Safety cars in this lap, so it would be Luke to lead us away. It just really depends on... Oh, now, if you can keep that ERS to the end, and again, it'll be loads of drivers trying to make overtakes and soft runners making their way to the front to be able to win it right at the end, and they have to go 9 laps, which we saw only Ghosts do, so this will be something interesting.
I hope it will. I really hope it will, and I kind of still hope for Rain. My hope is still there. But, yeah, probably that hope will die out at some point in this race. But I still got a little bit of hope in the back of my head. But we're waiting for the safety car reset on it, and I think it's just happened now as Luke went. Has he? Yes, he has, and that was not a good restart, to be fair, because Ryan is really close to his rear end as we go racing again on lap 14 of this race, and Luke is being put under pressure from Ryan quite a lot. Look at how close he is, and if Ryan wants to make a move, he can definitely do it now, but I kind of doubt he wants to. Max serves his drive-through penalty, which is smart to do on the first lap. You can, but is he going to go for that move? I don't think he is. Nope. He's staying out of overtake.
I want to see what the soft runners do as they go. I think that's Jan just letting Lloyd Panzer through, his Red Bull teammate, his VRT teammate, let him to go through on those softs as he knows he will be quicker. And now can Lloyd Panzer make up 5 positions and hope that the top 5 stay close enough for him to just fly through and soar off to victory? It really depends on how much of a fight those front runners can do, but look how much quicker he is. You can see the grip of those softs over the slightly worn mediums. It's like taking candy from a baby. It's unbelievable. Look at the speed he's got on them.
Yeah, and remember, Ghost is on the freshest set of mediums there, and only 4 laps old, and then we've got in between the drivers, there's not a single driver inside the top 5 who's on the same age of tyres. We've got 4, we've got 5, we've got 6. Oh, actually, we've got 6 twice. And then we've got 7 from Cohen. And Cohen is going to have a difficult time towards the end of this race, I can tell you. But I think Loic will actually go for a move on this lap already, because he's really close to Ghost and he needs to make the move. So he goes on the outside into the bus stop chicane, breaks late, locks up the inside front, but now has got the inside line for the second part of the chicane. There is still Ghost on the outside. He held it quite well, and he seems to be still alongside, but no, he's not. And Spreen in the background went off, and we've got 3 wide moment coming into La Source, and that is, oh my goodness, and that is a brilliant switchback from Boss Wanted, maybe. Yes, it is. And he won't have the DRS then, he won't have the slipstream. DRS is not enabled, I remember. And Spreen takes the spot back. Oh, that was also close in between those guys. But now it's the chance of Boss Wanted now to get the position in the background. We've got the Williams of of Super Mario, I'm sorry, trying to go for the outside as well. Is that gotta be a double move there? No, it's not, and that is Boss Wanted losing out to his teammate once again.
That was unbelievable. We saw 3 wide into turn 1, which is not something you see every day, and almost side by side through El Rouge and Radion. As like Panzer's still so close to Colton, he's going quicker than the people in front. The safety car has saved the medium runners' tyres by about 3 laps, but I mean, still compared to softs, which will run out to the end, but still compared to softs, that is a difference, and you can tell as he is going quicker than the people in front of him. So a podium is very much on for the VRT driver, but at the back still fighting, going on for those little extra points, as penalties are starting to become a little bit more common, as Lloyd Panzer will obviously get the position anyway on Cohen, whether he gets past him or not.
Yeah, it looks like Cohen has got quite a lot of straight line speed, and you can see that Loic is one of the few guys who's actually using his DRS. Well, actually, most people are using their ERS deployment modes, except from Ryan. Ryan has not done that the entire race, and he's not changing it after the safety car restart. So, yeah, never change the running system, I say. So, that's what he thinks as well. He stays in second, stays with a lot of ERS, and is safe from attack from behind. But a man who is definitely not safe is Cohen, because he's got a man right behind him who can smell a race victory here in round 3 in a Red Bull on soft tyres, but I think he's just that little bit too far away on this lap, as Cohen is actually closer to Vapornu than Loic is to Cohen, it looks like, and yeah, he definitely stays behind as Vapornu goes a bit wide coming into Lake Com. That might compromise this run through here then, but no. Oh, and Loic is very much on the limit. I don't know if you saw how the rear end just slid out there a little bit, but yeah, you can see that he is pushing all the way right now.
Yeah, I was looking at the back, seeing what was going on between the Williams drivers, but yeah, I imagine Loic is pushing as hard as he can, because you said that
we've got yellow flags.
Yeah, you got
Super
Williams
Mario.
is gone in. I've forgotten the corner name, but
That's the
Loic
no-name
Panzer-
corner, I think, isn't it?
Oh, no name. Fair enough. See, I don't need to know the name. But I think, like you said, he smells the race victory, and when a racing driver smells the race victory, it's like a shock to blood. Just go for it and do anything you can to get it, because I know I'm like that. I mean, no matter what I do, any sort of race, just the competitive spirit I think is going to try and carry him through to try and go for that race win if he possibly can. As there you go, I think that's Max Rose out of this race.
Yeah.
Will that be another safety car VSC?
Yeah.
Safety car again. Surely people are going to pit. Those people at the back who haven't
I
reached
think
the
most
pit lane,
people
there
went
you
past
go.
the pits. Kryptonite pits, Gabri pits, Super Mario will probably pit, and I think everyone else was just that little bit too far into the final chicane.
So this means now, if everybody else at the front decides to pit for softs, people like Kryptonite, Pam, Gabri, Super Mario are all going to be in the best position at the end of this race, and we'll be at the front. And if Kryptonite can do that after his really just not good start to this race, being about 20 seconds behind, now this could propel him up to the front depending on how much he catches coming up through the rest of the lap, especially as this lap is so big and so long. This could really, really benefit the Renault driver, the Williams driver, and the other Williams driver.
I think we will have 3 laps of green flag racing in the end. I think the safety car will come in at the end of lap 19, and then when we cross the line, it's going to be 3 laps. So 1 lap of DRS enabled, and yeah, I think it's not going to be easy for Loic, but it is going to be an all or nothing scenario for him if he wants to get that podium. He needs to clear Cohen as quickly as possible, because Cohen obviously has got a penalty. So yeah, at the minute it's just Cohen in his way, and I think he wants to clear him as quickly as possible to then be able to attack Vapornu and those guys who are actually for position in the end, instead of attacking Cohen, who is going to be behind him at the end of the race anyway due to penalties.
Yeah, this also hurts people with the penalties. I was just about to say, if you have a penalty now with everybody being so close, you're going to drop a lot of positions instead of just a few. So that's going to be something, but the people who are going to pit now, I imagine, I reckon Loic could take it to the end and just be on less fresh tyres, except nobody decides to pit. So I was completely wrong.
Ghosts.
Other than LR Ghosts and Boss Wanted. Okay.
I think Boss
was
Wanted
wrong.
is up to a total of 3 pit stops now. He's got the most amount of pit stops as together with Kryptonite. Everyone else inside the top 7 is on a 1 stop. So interesting to see. But I think that safety car is definitely going to hurt Ryan, who has been saving his ERS for the entirety of this race, to then use it at the end. And now all of that advantage he had in his back pocket is gone. It's gone out the window because Luke has got 100% of ERS again.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan, who's been really playing a strategic game all the race, is now at a disadvantage because of this safety car. as his tactics that he's been trying to use all race are kind of now thrown out the window, and he's just going to have to go all out to try and take the race victory. So it's going to be hard for him, but I think it's possible. So I think he might have slightly had the edge on Luke for the majority of this race.
Yeah, well, it might just be the case of pure attack mode being rewarded in the end, because Luke has not played a strategic game. He has not, let himself drop behind and then stay within the DRS of the car in front. He has just been going at the front flat out, just doing what he needed to do to stay ahead. And Ryan has been sitting behind and waiting. I think we are actually going to have 4 laps of green flag racing. I think the safety car is going to come in at the end of this lap. At least I hope so. And yes, it does. All right. Yeah. And that might give Luke the chance now, because I think it should be possible to, use your ERS in a way where all your ERS is gone on the last lap then. And if you can get a good restart, then you might have the upper hand on Ryan in general. But we'll have to wait and see.
It will start to be intense, and a lot of hard, harsh fighting, I imagine, is what we're going to see in these last 4 laps. And the drivers at the back who have pit onto the softs are going to be quicker than the ones in front. Loic could only make up a couple of positions, so will the people at the back be able to get past the people in front?
And I think it's
we're
gone
just
now.
going to have to wait and see as we're racing again.
Seems to be a better safety car restart than on the first one he tried. If he can get a good exit here, then he might be safe from an attack, but nope. That was a brilliant exit from Ryan then. He seems to be very good out of the slow corners, it looks like, out of the slow tractions. On Spreen has made a mistake. Obviously you can't overtake till the start finish line, and that might have caught out Ghost then, because he is 3/10 behind, and then up front there's a 1.5 second gap. But let's first take a look at Ryan, if he will actually go for a move on this lap. But no, he still saves his ERS. Does Cohen though? No, Cohen doesn't. And they're side by side on the Camel Straight with Vapornoot now. He's got the outside line for Le Combat. He takes the position away, and that is P3, even though he's got the penalty. And that really helps Loic right now, because Loic knows the car ahead is actually for position, and he knows that definitely, because he dives down the inside into Brussels. That's a very late move. That's a brilliant move. Down the inside he goes with his soft tyres, and past he goes into the effective podium position.
What a move from Loic. That was unbelievable. He's taken himself into P4, into technically P3, as Spreen retires from the races. I think he might have just done that one manually. After he got held up with Ghost, he just kind of stopped on the safety car restart and didn't go again. So right now Loic, he's played this race well, overtaken Vapornoot with a brilliant overtake. Everybody locked up, and he got a penalty anyway, so it doesn't matter. But Loic, if he can get past Cohen and somehow catch up to Ryan or Luca, if those two get a penalty, then Loic is in a great position for the end of this race. But 3 laps to go. Ryan, what's he going to try and do? He's got about 20% more ERS than what Luke does, and Cohen has a penalty, so realistically, I think it's between Ryan and Luke for the end of this race.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe though, Loic is able to pass Cohen right now as Ghost sets the fastest lap of the race. He's shot some great pace after the safety car restart. He was more than 1.5 seconds behind P6, and now it's only 4/10. So that's the soft tyres for you. But let's see if Loic is actually able to pass Cohen this time. He's using his overtake button. He's using his rich mode, I reckon. And nope, he's not. He's staying behind. Okay. Interesting. I would have gone for that move because he needed to. Otherwise, he won't have a single chance of attacking Ryan or Luke for the top 2 positions. But it seems like he's going to be happy with that.
Yeah, I think Loic should have gone. I keep saying his name different ways every time. I think he should have gone for it there into Lacombe, as it would have been his best chance to try and take a top 2. As he was using his overtake midway through the straight, as Cohen was as well, and he was closing up still, and then he turned off his overtake. Cohen didn't, so he kept going, but he's still very close to him, so he could still go for the move and maybe close up a little bit, but it really all depends. It's possible, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to close up enough to try and challenge Ryan or Luke.
Oh, that lockup might have cost him a chance of a possible overtake. into the bus stop chicane now, as when we cross the line we're going to have 2 more laps of racing available in this entire race, and that's going to be 2 very hectic laps, I reckon, because now everyone has to make their moves if they want to make one, and he really closes up coming into the last chicane.
Goes on Jan. Goes up the inside, spins, loses his rear as Kryptonite goes through up into P7. His DRS is now enabled, which is going to change up the fight at the front. But I was about to go on about Ghost trying to go up the inside of Jan, which is only cost him a position.
Touched the rear end of Cohen and might have compromised his run now. Does Cohen get the DRS from the car in front? Yes, he does. Only just though, but I don't think Cohen is really close enough to actually, you know, get the slipstream from the car ahead, and he's barely got any ERS left, and now Loic needs to make the move. Cohen defends the inside line, and Loic, no, he really doesn't go for the move, or does he? He has a little look on the inside, but he's just not committed enough there.
I mean, Loic's surrounded by people who have penalties, so no matter what he does, if he gets overtaken or overtakes, he won't gain anything really, and I imagine Loic's just trying to play this safe. Try not to compromise himself and maybe have a spin like Ghost did as he saw into the bus stop. I think maybe he's just trying to save himself, knowing that he has a P3 secure, and instead of risking it for a very outside chance at a P1 or 2, he's saving it to try and just stick with that P3, which is kind of smart, but also not going for a race win.
Yeah, remember, so I think we will see a move for the race win on the last lap then. There's going to be a fight coming up. Those 2 are out of contention of the others. They're in another league in this race, it looks like. And the question now is, has Ryan waited too long? Has his tactical game backfired on him? Or has it worked beautifully? He brakes very late, locks up the inside front, but good enough to stay very close to the back of Luke at the moment. At the moment, he actually gains some time coming out of the final chicane. Turn 19, and now for one final time we're going through La Source as Luke locks up the inside front, doesn't get the best line through La Source, and the exit wasn't brilliant either, and I think that is close enough for Ryan to actually make a move on Luke on the last lap of the race. After 22 laps, it's going to come down to the final lap for the move for the race win, it looks like, and yes, it looks like a fairly easy move. He's been pushed nearly onto the grass on the inside, but there he goes. And Ryan takes the lead after his brilliant strategic game he played throughout the entirety of this race.
Unbelievable from Ryan, taking on the camera straight. He knew what he wanted to do this whole race. He had it planned out from the start, and he knew what he wanted, and he knew how to get it. And he took that chance firmly with both hands, and still has 20% extra ERS over Luke in hand. As I didn't even realise Loic get past Cohen, as there was a little bit of a step on the rear for Luke there, but Loic takes P3 on track so far. It's been a crazy race and a lot of tactics and strategy been going into it, and fair play to Ryan for making that move. He planned that one out, and I have to respect that.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not really that big of a fan of those strategic games, of those tactical games. I would rather like to see flat out racing, just absolutely to the max, but that's just the fault of the F1 game, not making the effect of dirty air bad enough to actually make it worth to make a move when you get the opportunity. And there goes Ryan around the final corner, and he wins in Belgium, and he finishes ahead of Luke after a move on the last lap. Loic picks up a brilliant third, and Kryptonite finishes in fourth after his late pit stop onto softs after colliding and crashing on lap 1, in the end finishing P4. What a brilliant fight back. Ghosts picks up P5 in the end. It could have been P4 without that spin, but still Loic in the end P3, driver of the day in game. And I have to say, he is driver of the day for me as well, but in close contention with Kryptonite, who was dead last at the end of lap 1, and in the end came across the line to take fourth after a miserable race until that point, until that safety car came out, and he never gave up.
I mean, yeah, I think Loic did brilliant going from P12 to P3. Alternate strategy worked brilliantly for him. Kryptonite, what a comeback that was. I really, really respect that drive. At his home race as well, being a Belgian himself, coming all the way back to getting to that P4 was absolutely brilliant, and then Ryan, our race winner, of course, I think he has to deserve a special mention. No, it wasn't the most exciting fight for the race win in the world, if I'm honest, but I just really respect the strategy and the thought behind it, if I'm honest. So I think Ryan has also done a very good job. Luke held on at the front the whole time, but there's not much he could do. So our top four really have done a fantastic race, and Gabri coming from the back as well. So
Oh yeah, he's been under the radar for the entire race, but in the end came home to finish sixth after starting in last place. That's a very good race from him as well. Very quiet though, but yeah, I think the Dutch fans here in Belgium will be very happy with the Dutch podium ahead of Kryptonite Ghosts, Gabri Cohen, Vapornuth, Jan F1 Racer, and then Super Mario in 10th place, picking up the final point then. And I gotta say, I don't like the way Codemasters have made the game in terms of overtaking. Overtaking is not really rewarding on this game, on a track like Belgium or Italy, because it's more worth if you stay behind another car, just save your ERS, stay in the slipstream, get the DRS, rather than passing another driver, because the dirty air really doesn't kill your tires as much on a track, just like Belgium or Italy or something. But I gotta say, at least at tracks like Hungary or something, or Australia, it's actually worth passing other drivers. And that was not like that in F1 2019. So they've made a slight improvement, but I think it's still an issue.
yeah, I just don't like the way Codemasters have made the game, if I'm honest. But we got no other alternative, so
But maybe with EA
yeah.
taking over, they have their impact. I actually see it more positive than negative. And it's actually Luxembourg, not Dutch.
Yeah, I realise that. So I've seen it. Sorry, Jan.
Oh,
Oops.
wait,
Never mind.
wait, they're all from Luxembourg. Jesus,
Are they?
I'm not sure. But the flag looks basically the same. So
So basically, I'm broken. Oops.
yeah, well,
Sorry.
I couldn't tell the difference.
I'm gonna go look at the Dutch flag now. Give me a minute.
Uh, it's basically just the blue is slightly different. So
Okay, that's
I
my
don't know
mistake.
who of these
Sorry.
guys now is from Luxembourg and who of these guys is from the Netherlands. That's Dutch. That's Dutch. That's Dutch. So
Oh,
yeah, maybe the VRT guys are from Luxembourg, but you can't blame me for that. Come on, the color is just way too similar on this game. I mean, look at the flag. Just Google it real quick, and you'll see how just the blue is slightly different. You can't blame me for that. Come on. But yeah,
I think we got a bit sidetracked there.
yeah, that was an important topic for me.
Clearly.
But yeah, in the end, I think it was still quite exciting, even though we didn't have the best action on track actually by overtaking other drivers. In terms of strategy and tire choices, it was very interesting with the safety cars and everything. The fight backs, the different tire compounds, and the tire age made the race a bit unpredictable. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And yeah, with that being said, I want to thank you, Jack, for joining me tonight, replacing Jake as he was unable to do comps with me tonight. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
Of course I did always enjoy commentating, especially when a race is as interesting as that, as that wasn't a boring one. So I'm happy, and I'm happy to make my return with you and in PSGL. It was good. I'm not here every week, obviously, as I physically cannot every week anyway. So anyway, I wish you and Jake good luck for the next race as well, and I hope it's as exciting as this one has been.
Yeah, well, we've got a winter break now coming up of 2 weeks, so we'll be back in 2021. Hopefully, this will be a much better year than this was. I think we're all quite happy that this year is over. And yeah, I don't want to jinx anything, so I don't want to predict anything for 2021, if I'm honest. But yeah, with F4 being over, round 3, that was it. And yeah, with that being said, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, because it's yeah, this week already. It's in 3 days. Have I got the date right? 3 days? Yes, 3 days. At least in Germany, it's 3 days. In all the other countries, it's in 4 days because it's Christmas morning. But in Germany, it's Christmas evening. So for me, Christmas is in 3 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed the first 3 races of the season. I hope you all made the best out of 2020 and enjoy the winter break, lads. Take care. And yeah, with that being said, we'll see each other in 2021. And until then, goodbye and take care.